Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com, and it's another uncensored video. This one is something that I want to do kind of to prep me for an upcoming Eco-Vegan Gal video that I'd like to do. But first I need to get some things out of my system, I suppose. And it's going to take me a little while to produce this. But anyways, I just started reading this book called Food Politics, and I'm pretty confident that I'm going to assign this for the next Eco-Vegan Gal book club read, because it's phenomenal. It's kind of dense and pretty scientific based at some points, but man, does it have some great points that I feel like every eco-vegan, aspiring eco-vegan, anyone interested in health and food should read. It's a topic that I've actually been really curious about. I didn't even know there was a book about it until I saw it on my friend's bookshelf. Because it's really important to understand the way politics work in our food system. So I've only read the introduction so far, but I'm fully engaged, and I was so inspired that I thought I would read to you some of the text because I thought it would be a good jumping off point and good food for thought. It starts off, I love the way this starts off, with this. Our advice about the health benefits of diets based largely on food plants, fruits, vegetables, and grains has not changed in more than 50 years and is consistently supported by ongoing research. Which is great. That shows that people that are eating mainly fruits, vegetables, and grains are probably on the right track. On the other hand, people seem increasingly confused about what they are supposed to eat to stay healthy. Very true. As a population, Americans are eating more animal-based foods and more food in general, to the point where half of us are overweight, even our children are obese, and diseases related to diet are leading cause of deaths and disability. Okay, so that's really the preface for this book. This is one of those books that I just want to highlight everything because there's a lot of great information in this. Okay. The food industry has given us a food supply so plentiful, so varied, so inexpensive, and so devoid of dependence on geography or season that all but the very poorest of Americans can obtain enough energy and nutrients to meet biological needs. Indeed, the U.S. food supply is so abundant that it contains enough to feed everyone in the country nearly twice over, even after exports are considered. The overly abundant food supply, combined with a society so affluent that most people can afford to buy more food than they need, sets the stage for competition. The food industry must compete fiercely for every dollar spent on food, and food companies expend extraordinary resources to develop and market products that will sell, regardless of their effect on nutritional status or waistlines. To satisfy stockholders, food companies must convince people to eat more of their products or to eat their products instead of those of competitors. They do so through advertising and public relations, of course, but also by working tirelessly to convince government officials, nutritional professionals, and the media that their products promote health, or at least do no harm. Most of this work is virtually invisible part of contemporary culture that attracts only occasional notice. So really, my point in reading this here is that we need to realize that food is an industry. And as I'm going through, or as I was going through the introduction and continue to read this book, none of this is surprising to me, but it really hones in on the fact that what we are raised to eat, in most cases, what we are marketed to, and basically what we are kind of taught throughout our culture is not necessarily true nutrition. And I think all of you probably know that already. It's kind of obvious if you're getting into health at all that things aren't what they seem. But the question is why? And that's where this book really comes in and why I'm really interested in it. And even in the introduction actually, even if you were to just pick this book up and read it, the introduction really answers a lot of questions. It goes into things like what is considered healthy. One of my favorite section so far was this author who's really amazing. She's done a lot of government work and a lot of work in the kind of the professional field of health. So she's really speaking from a lot of experience. She was working on the Surgeon General Report of Nutrition and Health, and she was given some very specific rules. No matter what the research indicated, the report could not recommend people to eat less meat as a way to reduce intake of saturated fat, nor could it suggest restrictions on the intake of any other category of food. So as soon as I read that line, I thought, wow, no wonder we are so confused about nutrition. And again, I think I'll find a lot more answers while I read this book. But it's really setting off some light bulbs. A lot of vegetarians and vegans feel like they're fighting against this kind of global mindset that eating meat is healthy, and we're all still, I don't know about you, but I'm still confused sometimes. I'm like, am I wrong? Is veganism like an unhealthy thing? I believe very strongly, based on the research that I've done, that it is a very healthy way of living. But it's interesting that so many people in America alone are so convinced that meat and dairy is okay to eat, and they're so obsessed with it, addicted to it, just like defensive about it. And we wonder why. Why is that? And I've become increasingly passionate about the psychology around it. And I've found a lot of good information about it, about the biology and about the traditions and all these different reasons, but really getting into the politics. Because part of me has always kind of had this mentality of, are we being brainwashed? And why is it that someone like me can just jump out of that mindset and look at the world without having that influence anymore? How is it that I decided to go vegan and become so passionate about it and kind of feel like I have a little bit more knowledge about food than the average person? That's a whole nother story, but my point here is really saying there's probably there is a lot more that's out of our control. And it takes a certain person to stand up and raise people's awareness, and that's part of why I do what I do, because I feel like it's kind of my responsibility to just let people know that things aren't what they seem. And there's a lot more going on that is influencing us than we may realize. Because the sneaky part about this all, so when you combine politics, government, and marketing together, and money, lots of money, which this discusses as well, you realize that we are kind of falling victim to a huge influence that we don't even realize is there, but is incredibly, incredibly powerful. To the point from before we're even born, our parents are learning information that's not necessarily true. Like she says right here, the Surgeon General. I don't know if people follow that as much as they used to, but this is from like the 1980s. But still, if your parents say, "Wow, Surgeon General, that says that I should probably be having like the food guide pyramid, for example. Okay, meat, poultry, and fish, and milk and yogurt. Okay, well these are part of a good diet. You know all those old ads if you watch a movie like Forks Over Knives, and they show you like the old advertisements that people used to see. Drinking milk is part of a healthy morning routine, and and eating eggs and all this stuff. If you grow up watching that, or your parents grew up watching that, how are you to know? That's how they're going to raise you. The other thing that this book goes into that might be kind of obvious is money and ethnicity, age, all of these things where marketers really target people, low-income people. That's another section of the introduction that I got really excited about, was money. I'm really, really fascinated about that because we've been so obsessed with getting a lot of bang for our buck. And so we just tend to overeat. What is with that? I'm like that too. Man, I find myself just getting so excited about food and shoveling it in. Mind you, it tends to be all very healthy food, but there's something in my head that feels like I'm never quite going to get enough. So I overeat. I don't know if you're like this, but I'll get to the point where I'll get exhausted. I'll be in a food coma, or I'll have a stomach ache. And I'm thinking, why did I eat so much? Why did I go to a restaurant that has such big portions? Why am I not taking this home? What is it within our mentality? And why is dieting so... This garbage truck outside is really loud. Why is dieting like such a big aspect of our lives where people feel like they need to have constant advice and programs and pills and drinks and all this stuff to learn how to control their appetites, to reverse any damage they've done through poor eating? It's an epidemic. I mean, if you really step back and look at it here, it is really sad. Really sad. It makes me sad. I try not to let it get to me too much, but it's a driving force for me, because when you really step back and look at people that aren't really interested in health, they have no idea what they're doing to themselves. And you can't blame them. That is the key thing here. That's probably a big topic that I want to talk about on the main Eco Vegan Gal channel, is that we can't really get angry at people for having poor eating habits, because most people have no idea. And they are so influenced by the government, by marketing, by money and tradition and family and all of these different aspects of life that it is incredibly challenging to break out of poor eating habits. And you have to have a true passion and desire for it. I'll tell you straight out that my lifestyle, learning it all, has not been easy. I've been vegan for now, oh my gosh, how long has it been? 10 years now, coming up this year, my 10-year anniversary. That's a long time, and I've come a long way, as those of you know who have followed me. And a lot of people will not dedicate that much time to it. They don't want to spend the time, they don't want to spend the money, they don't want to have to learn about things. They just would rather go on and believe that they're going to be okay. Believe that a doctor can save them. Believe that medication can save them, because that's what we're taught in our society. But again, we cannot blame the consumers. Sure, you could say we could blame them because they've chosen to be ignorant, but the reason that we can't blame them for choosing to be ignorant, because the reason they've chosen it is kind of like they've been swept under, oh, it's okay, they're comforted. They think it's okay to choose ignorance. They think that they'll survive it. And it's really not until you get sick, until you get old, until you have some major health issue, that it'll even occur to you that you may not have been doing something entirely right. And even then, we've been marketed so much that we don't even attribute diet to a lot of the issues that we have. That is the most crazy side of this. Diabetes, for example. Diabetes is so rampant in our country, and yet we see people all the time reversing and preventing diabetes through diet. But is that marketed? No, because a lot of the products that cause diabetes have a lot of politics going on, a lot of marketing behind them, a lot of money, and thus the Surgeon General cannot even recommend that you eat less of those products because it would get in the way of business. It's pretty pretty crazy. I'm about to run out of time. I can't remember if I have more than 15 minutes on this channel yet, but I think I should wrap it up. There's a lot more I can talk about, and my dog's starting to bark. So yeah, that's my uncensored rant. I need to do more of these, I know, but I never quite know what people think of this because I don't allow comments. Okay, I'm going to get going. Thanks for watching. Pick up a copy of this book or just follow my journey. Hopefully I'll have the time to do more public posts about it. Hope everything is going well for you, and feel free to send me your videos and your thoughts on these topics. I love learning from you just as much as hopefully you enjoy learning from me. Hi, Amy. Okay, bye.